A student-driven classroom is characterized by one where students are brought into the learning and teaching process. They're really trusted and empowered to guide and own their learning. The instructor is there as a facilitator and a guide. So in teaching a new lesson, students might help frame the question and the investigation around what they're set to learn. Work together to understand how they'll gather the information required to find the answers that they need, and then share and present to the class while communicating with their peers.
So in a student-driven classroom, your classroom is going to be a little different than it normally is. So what it's going to look like is you're going to have students working in pairs, you're going to have them working in groups together, collaborating on projects together. So a lot of more, rather than individual work, you're going to see group work. What it might sound like, the noise level might be a little higher than it usually is. So you're going to have students talking to each other, asking probing questions, trying to figure out things. Maybe you might hear someone's like, well, how does this work? Oh, I might know this. Oh, hey, can I go to another group and talk to them and figure it out? So there's going to be a lot of collaboration in just the way they're speaking, and then also asking questions, trying to figure out, hey, what went wrong? Oh, I think I might know this. And then what it's going to feel like is sometimes it's going to feel very high energy. You're going to have students have a lot of enthusiasm. They're going to want to figure out how they solve these problems, so it's going to be sort of like a high stakes. Oh, what can I do? What can I do to get it done? So it will feel like your classroom is at a higher level than it might be usually.
To prepare for a student-driven classroom, we have a couple of tips, and a lot of you are probably doing some of these things already. So the first is to really understand how you'll collect feedback in a student-led environment. So we're looking to assess not only hard skills, coding, math, and language, but 21st century skills like collaboration and creativity, problem solving, and computational thinking. So thinking about how you collect feedback, whether that's posing questions to the group and then getting their answers, or having students reflect and write in an engineering journal, or getting students to share and then present to the class and collecting what they've presented. It's important to think about these feedback collection mechanisms as you're preparing for the class. The second bit is making sure that the culture in your classroom is one that fosters creativity and fosters collaboration. So going into a student-led classroom, it's important to reframe mistakes as learning opportunities. Many of our teachers, in fact, reward students for making mistakes and document them and highlight them for the future. The third piece of advice we can give is to, again, related to the second bit, reframe the role of the teacher. We like to make an analogy between a teacher and a coach in some cases, where sometimes you're there to provide confidence or to help students work through the process of finding the answer rather than helping them get to the answer more quickly.